It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across the USA, we are Red Eye Radio. I'm Gary McNamara. He's Eric Harley. Good morning. Welcome. Well, Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook, Meta, sent a letter to Jim Jordan yesterday. They're investigating the weaponization of government. They're investigating the censoring that happened in the 2020 election and after when it came to COVID. And so he wrote this letter. I'll read parts of it. In 2021, senior officials from the Biden administration, including the White House, repeatedly pressured our teams for months to censor certain COVID-19 content, including, you ready for this? Including humor and satire. And expressed a lot of frustration with our teams when we didn't agree. Ultimately, it was our decision whether or not to take the content down, and we own our decisions, including COVID-19 related changes we made to our enforcement in the wake of this pressure. I believe the government pressure was wrong, and I regret that we were not more outspoken about it. I also think that we made some choices that, with the benefit of hindsight and new information, we would not make today. Like I said to our teams at the time, I feel strongly that we should not compromise our content standards due to pressure from any administration in either direction, and we're ready to push back if something like that happens again. In a separate situation, the FBI warned us about a potential Russian disinformation operation about the Biden family and Burisma in the lead up to the 2020 election that fall, when we saw a New York Post story reporting on corruption allegations, including then Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden's family. We sent that story to fact checkers for review and temporarily demoted it while waiting for a reply. It's since been made clear. We're in 2024. It's since been made clear that the reporting was not Russian disinformation. In retrospect, we should not have demoted the story. We changed our policies and processes to make sure this doesn't happen again. For instance, we no longer temporarily demote things in the United States waiting for fact checkers. So there you go. That was what he wrote yesterday. Wow.
Wait until he finds out I was never in Aerosmith. When we were going through it, it was clear. And it was pretty loud. The pushback, the throttling was, we knew that was going on. I don't know how many complaints, by the way, that I have heard anecdotally of people in business that had a business Facebook page, and they've said the throttling on just simple stuff they want to promote has been so bad that Facebook isn't even worth the time anymore for an organization or a company to have a Facebook page. Not worth it. They go somewhere else. Even TikTok is better. Instagram, anywhere, if you're going to have a social media page, because they get throttled. This is part of, and I don't know I'm really questioning what's happening with Zuckerberg here. Why now? Why 4 years later? Now, he said it on the laptop thing. He said that on Rogan. It goes back a couple of years. It was in the same time frame as the Twitter files thing. So it goes back a ways. But this is interesting on the timing. And I wonder why now. Is he getting pushback from Facebook users? I mean, I don't go on Facebook anymore. Hardly ever. I honestly don't even know why I keep a page. I just don't go to Facebook anymore. But I wonder,
you're not old enough to stay on.
Right. I wonder what people are telling him. I wonder what the stats are telling him. Because if it's believed, okay, you can see it with X, formerly known as the FBI headquarters. With that mentality that Elon Musk is now pretty much set in stone as the culture for the users there at X, then they don't feel like they're going to be punished or throttled in any way. They feel free to issue opinion, do whatever. Is there something changing over at Facebook? Because there are a number of things that I know that they issued in terms of the concerns on their earnings. Is there something that's going on, I don't know, in recent months that shows that there's a monumental shift for some reason? I don't know why that would be all these years later, because any of us who were concerned about it saw it playing out back then, back in the summer of 2020 and since then. And by the way, including satire and humor. I'm sorry, you're referring to the Babylon Bee?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's when you think about it, because whatever's happening to Facebook will happen. I'm more worried about the government, what they have done here, what the Democrats did. Think about this. You're not talking about censoring misinformation. You were talking about censoring the truth and censoring humor and parody. Since a particular former nation has been brought up consistently when it comes to price controls, I would like to offer the fact that the kind of government that would wish to censor humor and satire and were furious if you did not do it is, again, much like the same country that put in price controls, the Soviet Union.
That's where I was going with this. What is it that is what's going on with Zuckerberg? What has happened in well, let's say, I don't know, the last 4 weeks? Biden is nowhere. He's in the wind. And there is no threat from Kamala Harris because she's not the current president. Nobody's in the White House. And I'm wondering, is that what gives him daylight to come out and go, okay, because again, it wouldn't be pushed back all these years later. Those of us who pushed back did that back then 4 years ago. If there was any kind of reaction, that would be delayed. His letter to Capitol Hill is really delayed, but what is actually happening in the current political situation?
All right, let me throw this out. You see right now that for all the mocking of Elon Musk when he first bought Twitter, now X, that he way overpaid for it. He's not going to make any money on it and everything else because nobody's going to go on it. It has become the go-to place for politics.
Oh, yeah, it is.
I mean, it is. You go on there now. You've got excitement when you go there. It's exciting. It's exciting when somebody posts something that's completely wrong and you see immediately the community notes. That's excellent. And it's exciting. It's dynamic. I know because I get frustrated with the placement of the ads that catch me every time reading the ads because the ads are in the comments. And you'll have one or two comments, and then you go to the next comment, and you're like, this doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. And then you see in the right-hand corner, ad, they put the ads in the comments, which is actually a great thing because, and when I realize I get caught, and I get caught every single day, probably, 10 times. Multiple times I get caught by the ad, and I've read, 3 or 4 sentences of the ad going, and it relates maybe a little bit to it, whatever the conversation is, but it's amazing how they sneak it in there and they get me to read 25% of it. And then I look over it just in general, and I know what the ad is. So the impression has hit me, and I'm impressed by that as a way to advertise.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Even though it's like, you wasted my time, I smile because I'm like, yeah, but you got me to read the ad. And being that we're in the capitalist business of the media, I mean, it's pretty cool that they did that. I don't know if it's going to affect, the excitement of it. I don't believe it does. It has. Facebook, I got a couple of buddies that post politics on Facebook. They get zero response. I mean, zero.
Yeah.
And I've got to go tell them, you need to go on X.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to do politics, go on X. Because nobody's talking politics on Facebook. And they're not. Well, then where's the growth? Where is the potential to grow if you aren't in a social media forum that is absolutely talking about and directing people to both pop culture and the soap opera drama of politics today that to me is unmatched than it's ever been before? When you have all the nightly shows, when you have the day shows that used to cover fluff, and now fluff is down a ton, and they're covering politics each and every day. People may say they hate politics, but they're paying attention. Otherwise, it wouldn't have expanded like it has.
The rise of YouTube, I'd say TikTok to the same extent, must be a great concern. They're also probably seeing this, and Instagram is part of Facebook, but they're probably seeing this to some extent on Instagram, but really YouTube because of the way they monetize, TikTok because of the way they monetize. And I'm told they both monetize much greater than Instagram. But it's also people flock for the content that those content creators are there for, and a lot of it is driven by opinion. A lot of it is driven by political opinion. And so Facebook seems sluggish.
Yes.
Slow.
Yes.
It's the difference between watching a home movie and thumbing through a picture book.
Facebook is the me TV of social media.
Yeah.
You go to it, you find nostalgia and comfort.
And it doesn't move. It doesn't move. There's not content that is posted there that keeps you engaged beyond what your friend had for breakfast or what their cat did last night, or what their cat had for breakfast and what they did last night. And those things are, it's a family album. It's a photo album.
Yeah.
And which is fine, but it's boring.
Where's
anyone saying, hey, let's turn on the TV and watch some family photo albums? No, because someone said years ago, it was, I don't know, probably 2010, 2012, YouTube will replace television in viewing habits. And it has.
It has for me.
And so people go there for content that is created. And Facebook, there really isn't any kind of content there that you could say people are driven to. Curiosity as to, hey, what's going on with my friends and family? Checking in, yes. That's really not entertainment. That doesn't have the same draw, doesn't have the same intrigue and engagement. And I just have to believe that there's probably something else going on. But I do believe that it's also likely that now with Biden in the wind, that he knows, that Zuckerberg knows, you better have a better, more transparent relationship with your end user. Otherwise, you're going to be in the wind. There's really no way around that. And that's the only thing I can put in place here that makes sense as to why now.
When I look at Facebook for me, it's keeping in contact with sort of more distant family, like cousins.
Mm-hmm.
and people I knew in high school. It really is. I mean, that's what and the things that if I post something, I'll be like, oh, I'm out on the bike ride today. Here's the sunrise.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my friends and family might like it. Anybody who doesn't know me is like, that guy doesn't have a life. He's taking pictures of sunrises and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't draw any excitement. It's almost as if it's family, friends, and nostalgia, and also the my high school alumni association obituary site.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. I mean, I see that more than ever, all the obituary sites, and I'm thinking to myself, not exactly something where you're going to grow. And by the way, I love going on the high school alumni site, and it's like it's all obituaries. This person died, this person died, and you may see somebody who died and you go, oh my gosh, I went to school with them, whatever. But then it's all the responses of people, which is the thing that gets to me, which was like, this is just so sad because they were such a nice person, and high school was the best time of my life. And I see so many of that. One after the high school is the best time of my life. Really?
Yeah, if you peaked at 18, then that's a problem.
And that's what I think. I'm like, wow. And then it becomes sad. I'm like, yeah, but you're reading it, Gary.
Right.
But no, it doesn't have that excitement that Twitter. I go on to Twitter every day now, and it's like, what am I going to see?
Well, one of the things too, there's that kind of engagement there. So there's political thought and news and things that are happening. So that feels, in fact, it is very present in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
It is real time. Facebook is taking a look back, and that's a problem. And also content creation. I think X has the same problem on creating content. They're doing a lot better than they were, but it's going to be extremely hard, if not impossible, to top what YouTube does in creating that kind of engaging content.
Stuff that comes up shuffle for me, all these hiking trails that are about 7 miles from me, and somebody did a whole thing on it in beautiful high definition. I watched the entire thing. It was like 50 minutes long.
Yeah.
But it was great. 866-90-RED-I.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by Howes Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
Building capacity, building infrastructure, building demand. All aspects of a USDA grant program centered on organic ag growers and the organic industry.
We're excited to announce our fourth and final round of the Organic Market Development Grants. This is $9.8 million in funding for 14 projects in 9 states.
Undersecretary for Marketing and Regulatory Programs Jenny Moffitt with the announcement regarding total funding from the Organic Market Development Grant Award over its 4 rounds.
This will bring the total for the awards to $85 million in 36 states across the nation, as well as the District of Columbia. We've been making these announcements over the course of the past 8 months, announcing our first round in January.
The grants also focus on organic sector projects addressing specific, pinpointed market needs in categories such as organic grains and livestock feed and organic dairy. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley and I'm Gary McNamara. Who's winning the race day by day? We've been doing that. I didn't do it yesterday. I forgot after the weekend. But we'll tell you who's been winning each and every day of the campaign coming up and give you examples why.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Download our Red Eye Radio app today. Do it right now, and you can listen when and where you choose if you can't listen live overnight, as you're doing right now, unless you're listening in the future, to our podcast on our app.
And if you're listening in the future, call now. Wait.
All right. One thing we started doing, I don't know why, but we started doing it a few weeks ago, was, who's winning the daily race.
Mm-hmm.
You look at it, who's winning the narrative. And as we have stated, Trump loses it if no matter what happens, Trump loses the day if he is the one on the defensive by both the liberals and the conservatives.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's on the defensive and you're like, oh, man, just be quiet, he's lost the day.
Yeah.
He has not lost a day since Waltz became the vice presidential nominee for the Democrats.
Right.
So that's over 2 weeks now. They have not lost a day, the campaign. I'll even say for Thursday, which was the DNC, which should have been an easy win for the Democrats and for the Harris campaign. They might have got a little bit of a bump because of it, but the fact was there was nothing that Donald Trump was on the defensive even that day, because as of that day, we knew that Kennedy was going to endorse him.
Right.
And so that became it. So I called that one a tie, just because it's very tough, when you have the entire world's attention, I'll give that day a tie.
Hmm.
And then Friday was a Trump day. The weekend was a Trump weekend. Yesterday was hugely Trump. And you know it by the focus of the media on the fact that you had, let me see if I can find the audio cut. You had the anniversary of Abbey-gate, where 13 American servicemen and women were killed. And the Biden administration just put out a letter. And Trump actually went to Arlington for 2 of the servicemen and women that were killed. And I'm trying to find it because, here it is. This is even on CNN. Okay, listen to this. Here we go.
Okay.
I want to start with, I know you're not going to get into campaign trail stuff, and I'm not asking you about the politics of this, but the idea of the visual this morning of the former president being at Arlington National Cemetery for the wreath laying, the current president, current vice president both put out paper statements. I'm just wondering, is that enough, given what happened 3 years ago?
Neither going to Arlington nor any individual paper statement is ever going to be enough to.
I can stop it there. He just lost that. He lost it.
Yep.
He's trying to make that, there's an equivalency between a paper statement and actually going to Arlington. You had Jim Acosta that basically said, is asking the question, is Trump being political by going to Arlington?
Huh.
Is this all
Right.
about politics?
Right.
We've said that's a stupid argument. They're politicians, so everything is about politics.
He's running for office, so everything that he does is about.
Right. Everything. They're all politicians, so they're all involved in the political arena, so everything is politics. But it's supposed to be that's supposed to cue you in that that's a negative. You can't sell that, not even on CNN. We talked about the Gold Star mother that was on CNN. You can't win that one. You can't win. They couldn't win. And that's just the beginning of why they lost yesterday.
Yeah.
That's just the beginning. Then you had Tulsi Gabbard. And that after you had Kennedy over the weekend. And so the problem that the Democrats are having, and I can give them advice because they never listen to us, is the fact that because she won't do an interview, because she is not actively engaging with the press, The mainstream media, the political activists of the mainstream media aren't getting their daily talking points.
Right.
They don't know where to go. So what are they doing? They're bringing on surrogates of the Trump campaign who are very willing to talk.
Yep.
And the surrogates for the campaign are really good because it's a lot of what you're seeing is Ramaswamy and J.D. Vance. And they've got it down pretty good. And even on, for example, I want to give you this, find this here from MSNBC yesterday. Wow. This is Jen Psaki. You should see the look on her face as Don Lemon. She brings Don Lemon on, Mr. Black Hole. If people don't, you may not remember it.
Yeah, the whole black hole theory on the Malaysian airliner that went missing.
Yes, and they had the whole thing. So could this be a black hole? I'll never forget Mary Shivo in that one.
Yeah.
These are all scientists, you know. These are all people that do accident investigations. And Mary Shivo, boy, she was generous that day, was she not? When he's
very patient with it.
And so our audience is wondering, and we'd like to know, I mean, could this possibly be a black hole?
Yeah, what do you think? Could it be a black hole?
And this was something that they had planned in the meeting because the banner was flying across. Was it a black hole? And you and I are going, oh, my God, these people are insane. And she was so nice. Well, no, Don, you see, because if a black hole was the size of a pin, it would suck the entire solar system in with it. It's just not going to go after a plane.
Yeah, you wouldn't be here to ask that stupid question.
So they brought him on. You know, and this is where they have to, look, for MSNBC, don't bring on a guest unless to bring on that guest to say, okay, you've been out interviewing voters. What have they said? Well, you're MSNBC. You better damn well have every person say, we love Harris, right? That's what you would expect because, remember, they are the number one by far liberal outlet out there that people pay attention to.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see how this goes.
Was there anything, what did they think about Harris? Did they have anything to say about her?
They did have, listen, it depends on where you are. We went to a number of different battleground states in Pennsylvania, Ohio. We were in Michigan, Indiana, on our way, obviously, Illinois, on our way to Chicago. And it sort of depended on where you were. Pennsylvania, well, I shouldn't say Pennsylvania, I should say Philadelphia, was a bit more liberal, and the answers to the questions about her and him were quite different. But for the most part, in Pittsburgh or in the Jersey Shore and in Atlantic City, in Ohio especially, many people did not know who she was. Right? They weren't familiar with her, so I think she has to reintroduce herself to the public. But for him, I think that they thought that he's better for the economy, and that, again, that he gave them, that he brought money into the community, and or that he was on black people's side.
You should see the look on her face. You know what we didn't talk about yesterday? When was it J.D. Vance was on with Kristen Welker on Meet the Press? Did you see the look on her face, how angry she was?
Oh, yeah.
She was so, you could see it. She was furious.
Yeah.
And so when that's what's happening, what they're doing wrong in the Biden campaign is they're letting everyone else but her define who she is. Because speeches don't get. The public doesn't pay it. The public doesn't watch a half hour of a rally.
Well, it's like I said the other night with her speech on Thursday night. After about 10 minutes, everybody is out. They're gone. They're done. They're not going to sit there and watch long speeches. That's not going to carry for you. And I've said from the beginning, if you're not out there talking to the media, then others will be there to talk for you, and that can work against you.
Well, you as a candidate have to be out there, but you also, by being out there and taking the cross-examination of what you believe, that's how you build credibility because you can answer the questions.
Yeah.
She can't. And the other thing they're not doing is, and we had talked about this for the longest time with the mainstream media covering Biden, they're lost because they don't get the talking points. They're not getting talking points from the Harris campaign as to what to do. Remember, they're not journalists. They're political activists. They're looking, and they're like, what does she think? What does she actually... Okay, the campaign says this, but says she's pro-fracking, but, or some anonymous source, but she won't say. She never mentions fracking in any place. Where is she here? Where does she... These commercials are out about the border, so they're asking the same questions. They're saying, yes, the commercials are out, but the criticism from the Republicans are that, well, then she's not defining her campaign through you, but the Republican surrogates and Trump are out there everywhere defining her. They defined her. Let me just see here. I want to make sure I have do I have the ad? Yeah, here's the ad. This is the Trump ad that came out yesterday. Listen to this ad. And now this is like two screens side by side. And it's like, okay, finally we got the debate that we want. And it's using her in her own words. It's Kamala Harris in her own words on both screens. So she's making a statement, and then the response is if it's, her opposition on another screen. But it's all her.
Everyday prices are too high. Food, rent, gas, back to school clothes. That is called Bidenomics. A loaf of bread costs 50% more today. Ground beef is up almost 50%. There's not much left at the end of the month. Bidenomics is working. The price of housing has gone up. It feels so hard to just be able to get ahead. And we are very proud of Bidenomics.
And that's a 27-second ad, which gives the time to, I'm Donald Trump and I endorse this ad. Then finally what you had, and this came out from last night, and this is going to be all over the place today. This is going to go massively viral. This is Jon Stewart. First time he's had an opportunity. He's on, Monday nights, I guess.
Right.
First time he's had to analyze a DNC. This is just brutal. Here we go.
They had a guy yelling, "Screw the billionaires," followed immediately by a very happy billionaire. It's all okay if it's our billionaire. Making fun of people for going to Yale, and a bunch of people who went to Yale. The Democrats had people who prosecuted sexual predators and
Bill Clinton picture.
There goes that booking.
Yeah, it was a picture of Bill Clinton. After they said there's somebody going after sexual predators, showing her, and they just show Clinton appears, and boom. That laughter, it's not even, that's well done. The timing is very well done by Jon Stewart there from a comedic point of view, but it's the reaction. And why is the reaction there? Because obviously there's the massive hypocrisy that everybody could see, which was written that night. We talked about it that night. We said, oh, my God, they bring on one guy who's pounding on billionaires, Bernie Sanders, and the next guy they bring on is Pritzker, who's a billionaire through inherited wealth, who is basically telling you he's the right kind of billionaire and Donald Trump is the wrong type of billionaire. Well, Stewart can see it.
Yep. And the crowd was not just laughing, they were cheering.
Oh, yeah.
Jon Stewart.
I thought it was a standing ovation until I saw the crowd because it was so loud. 866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Carly, and I'm Gary McNamara. And then to say it was Trump's day, add to it the whole debate debacle. I mean, you had 3 weeks ago the Harris campaign mocking him for not immediately accepting the debate that was supposed to be a debate with Biden with the exact same rules. Right. And 3 weeks later, the Harris campaign's out there saying, well, we want to change the rules.
Right.
And Trump's like, no. And they're, what, are you afraid to change the rules?
Right.
It's like, you're not going to win this.
You're not going to win this. And it really reeks of the Harris campaign trying to get out of the debate.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.